What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Truckin' with Tuffy. So today we are just going to do a quick drive from San Francisco, California to Yuma, Arizona, and we are going to take this lovely batch of what looks suspiciously like Dodge Magnums from a Tesla dealership. I mean, some of those cars actually look like Teslas, but those kind of look more like Dodge Magnums. Anyway, so you'll notice today that the Kenworth W900 is beautifully outfitted in this stunning blue flame paint job, which is, of course, another mod that I got off of the Steam Workshop. Looks great, looks good. The truck looks good in it. So, yeah. So head on over to the Steam Workshop, look for this mod. Go ahead and give it a subscribe. Go ahead and enjoy it. Apply it to your vehicle, and give that modder a reason to keep making these great looking mods for us. So we're going to do something a little bit different today on Truckin' with Tuffy as we pull out of this Tesla dealership. These are always kind of fun to try and get out of. So we're going to do something a little bit different today. Normally, Truckin' with Tuffy consists of we're just driving, and I struggle desperately to come up with something to talk about. Oftentimes, it's just multiple miles of just awkward silence on my part. But today, I actually have something I want to talk about, and it's, as a gamer, it's a disturbing trend that I've noticed going on lately in video games, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And what I'm talking about is I am talking about false advertising on the part of game companies. Now, this is nothing new, but there's a difference between blatantly lying about a major game and releasing a game that's just busted and beaten. You know, a couple of years ago, Assassin's Creed Unity and Halo the Master Chief Collection came out, and they were big games. They were big deals. You know, there's a very loyal following of Assassin's Creed and Halo fans all across the world. And the games came out and they were just so broken, they were unplayable. Just completely unplayable. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. What we're talking about is false advertising. So, game companies oftentimes will tout this game as monumental and epic in every way and scope imaginable, and then you get your hands on the game and it is literally nothing like what they promised. And that is something that has come back into the spotlight, if you will, via of the new game No Man's Sky that came out about a month ago. I think it came out about a month ago. Yeah, it was a few weeks ago that this game came out. It was a game 3 years in development. And please don't think that this is a No Man's Sky trashing. You know, I'm gonna spend all my time dumping on No Man's Sky. I actually ended up canceling my pre-order for the game. I play a game, as you all know, I play Star Citizen, and I'm eagerly anticipating that game's development. But I also play a game called Elite Dangerous. Now, Elite Dangerous is a little bit like No Man's Sky. It is a galaxy-wide game. There are hundreds of, I dare I say it, even a couple of 100,000 planets that we as players have discovered in Elite Dangerous. Now, you can't land on the planets yet. They have introduced planetary landings, but you can't. You can land on like moons and stuff, so you can't land on like a populated world just yet. You can't go and land on Earth. But when they released Elite Dangerous, a lot of people gave it a hard time because they were like, "Oh, this is like trucking simulator in space." But they released a decent foundation for the game. When you bought Elite Dangerous, you had bounty hunting missions. You could pledge, sort of imaginarily pledge your allegiance to a particular faction, whether it was the Alliance, the Empire. I know that sounds very Star Warsy, doesn't it? But you know, so it was a basic game, and I had actually been following it for a while because the concept of an open galaxy game, that you get the entire, you get to explore the entire Milky Way galaxy if you're so inclined, and discover new planets. And there are players out there that are legitimate explorers that are discovering new things for us all the time. In fact, I don't know if it has been in the game forever, or if it's something that Frontier Developments just put into the game, but now we're dealing with aliens. Players who are explorers have been finding alien artifacts and crashed alien ships. Right now it's just human players. As far as we're concerned, humans occupy the entire galaxy. There's no alien life out there, but we're starting to see hints of it. So it's developing buzz. Well, enter No Man's Sky. Now, Elite Dangerous is available both on the PC and the Xbox One, but if you're a PlayStation 4 player and you're looking at Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen online, you're kind of left out in the cold. You know, because the PC has all these just amazing games like that. And so for a console player to be able to get their hands on something that is that vast and something that is that amazing, it gets them fired up. So about 3 years ago, they came out and they announced this game called No Man's Sky, and it wasn't being made by a major developer. It was being made by a very, very small independent gaming studio, which I'm all about supporting indie studios. You know, some of those indie studios, they get up there and they become kind of big deals. But it was combat, and you had the ability to land on planets, and oh my god, they just touted this thing, and people got excited. Well, 3 years later, the game gets released. Well, for the last year, of course, everybody they've been out pushing this game because they want people to get excited for it, and it looked amazing. They were, you know, they said that, you know, yes, there's going to be a multiplayer element to the game, but the galaxy is so vast that you're very unlikely to encounter another player. They said that. They did say that there would be a multiplayer element. Put that in your toolbox. Put that in your envelope for a little bit, because that's going to become relevant later. That everything, the planets, were going to be procedurally generated. The animals on the life on the planet were going to be procedurally generated. And they just envisioned this scope of a game. You know, you jump into a system and there'd be just this massive battle going on, and you'd be able to pledge your allegiance to a faction and duke it out and take out capital ships, and each one of the different ships would feel different, and oh, it was going to be this amazing game. And it was going to be open world, and it was going to be open-ended, and people got excited. Well, then the game came out. And one of the reasons why I canceled my pre-orders, because I couldn't find anything. Because I kind of had this, like, Elite Dangerous style vision in my head, which may have been wrong of me. But I was trying to find, I am a very combat style person. Even in Elite Dangerous, I do more bounty hunting missions than I do trading, or, you know, cargo hauling, or even smuggling. You know, I mean, who would want to be a smuggler? Everybody knows that one of my favorite Star Wars characters is Han Solo. You know, so who wouldn't want to be a smuggler? But I tend to favor combat very heavily. Well, one of the things that I've noticed about No Man's Sky is that they only showed you what they wanted to show you. At all of their E3 or Gamescom demos, there was never a let's jump in, play the game, and go. It was always some pre-rendered video. You know, it was always something that they wanted us to see, not what we were actually going to see. So the game comes out, and I was actually very happy because I wanted to see what this game was about before I dumped money into it, which I think is fair. You know, I wasn't sure about it. I hadn't heard a whole lot of it, and so I was not ready to dump $60 on this game. And boy, was that a bullet dodged. No Man's Sky in its first week lost 90% of its player base. 90%. Okay? On the PC, there was over 200,000 players playing No Man's Sky at launch. There's less than 15,000 now. Probably less than that. It's been a bit since I've looked up what's going on. And why is that? Why have over 90% of the people dumped the game? Well, it's because the studio advertised it as something that it was versus what it actually was. There was no multiplayer element. You can go on and you can find videos. There's a YouTube channel out there called The Angry Joe Show. He does a pretty. He spares no expense. You can tell he was very disappointed. And just by the name alone, he's Angry Joe. But he ripped this game apart, and he does talk about a lot of the positive things at first glance, but there was no multiplayer. And like I said, multiplayer was something that they had touted and told us there was going to be. They said that. They didn't allude to it. There wasn't like, rumors that there was. He went on to a game panel and they talked about multiplayer, and he said, yes, there's going to be multiplayer, but the galaxy is so vast you may not run into another person. That asshole knew there was not going to be any multiplayer in this game. He knew it because he was making the damn game. And he said there was anyway. The planets were procedurally generated, and everything just ended up looking stupid. All the planets ended up looking alike because they didn't draw from a very big generation engine. So all the planets you land on end up looking alike. Every one of them. And when you name the planet, you don't really ever get to really name it. And if you discover a planet and you survey the planet and you do all this other stuff on the planet and you forget something and you go back, the planet is no longer there. So the game forces you to push forward. It doesn't let you go back and explore. So this completely open world game that they had given us was not open world at all. It forced you to go forward. It was the going back in a game and finding the door you just came through locked, basically. All the ships were exactly the same. They handled the same. So you'd have this big ship that was kind of like a big bulky cargo freighter, and it handled exactly like a small nimble fighter, which really made people mad. There was no way to upgrade the ships. So you got this ship, and that's the way it was. You couldn't upgrade it. It was broken. It was incomplete. It felt like a rushed, incomplete game. Now, I did say that this wasn't going to be a No Man's Sky trashing party, because what it ultimately comes down to is false advertising within a game. These jackasses made a game that they knew wasn't complete and wasn't anything like they had been telling us, but instead of either putting the game off or delaying it until things could work properly, they just gave us this busted-ass, broken-up game. Well, a lot of people were mad, because when you pay $60 for an incomplete, broken game, that makes you a little angry. That's hard-earned money. And when you have been blatantly lied to by a studio, that hurts a lot. It develops mistrust. And unfortunately, yeah, they might come out later on and they might patch No Man's Sky. And that's maybe something we can talk about a little bit later. The releasing a broken game and then patching it mentality that game companies seem to have lately. But their fan base is so dead right now. They've lost so much confidence. Destiny wasn't what people expected it, but Bungie didn't advertise it as something and then release it as something else, and it maintained a decent fan base. The story was criticized as lackluster. People didn't really care for Peter Dinklage as your ghost, the little robot that followed you around. But it still retained at least a fan base. A lot of people kept playing Destiny. With No Man's Sky, that's not the case. I'm going to throw in a spoiler here, because, as I've said, I didn't play the game. I canceled my pre-order, and I'm glad I dodged that bullet. Because I'm not worried about what a game could be. I'm worried about what it is right now. Elite Dangerous, when it came out, it was just a very small, very basic game. And over the course of its life, the last couple of years, it has grown and introduced new ships, and it has introduced new things, but they never advertised it as something that it wasn't. They never came out the day Elite Dangerous launched 2.5 years ago and said, yeah, you can land on planets right now. They said, you'll be able to land on planets eventually. They didn't come out and say, yeah, man, you can like get up, and you can get around your spaceship, and you can go like shoot people in the face, man. They said, you'll be able to do all that stuff eventually. We're working on it. And the more important thing about it was they didn't come up with a timeline that was completely unrealistic in an attempt to dupe people into buying this game. Well, I can buy this game. Yeah, it's kind of boring right now, but in 3 months, man, I'm going to be able to like get up and walk around my spaceship and go on like first-person shooter missions. They didn't do that. They didn't give timelines. You know, the last season that they released was the Horizons, which was the planetary landings, and then they released Engineers, where you could actually go in and customize your ship. Now, you could always put new weapons and paint jobs and stuff like that on your ship, but now you can go in and craft like big, powerful guns. So, it's one of those things where it was like, when the people who made No Man's Sky home studios were going to these conventions, I don't know if they were getting done with these conventions and like going back and hanging their head in shame, or what they were doing, or they were just dying laughing at all the stupid nerds, because they were advertising a game they knew wasn't ready, that it wasn't anything like what they were touting it to be. And that's a problem. If, you know, people have said, oh, well, I don't see what the big deal is, it's just a stupid video game. Well, you know what? If you had gone and bought a specific type of car, and they touted that car as a family-friendly vehicle, and it had, you know, 8 airbags, and it had a crash test safety rating of, you know, 10 out of 10 by J.D. Power, and it was the car of the year and all this other stuff, and then you got in and you got your new car, and it was, you know, a Pacer. You know, it was a freaking Pacer that they like spray painted. You would feel really upset. You would feel duped and lied to, you know, and honestly, I think somebody would sue. And I'm kind of waiting to see if that's something that's going to happen. I'm going to wait to see if somebody actually sues Home Games, because that's going to be interesting, because that was blatant false advertising, whether it was a stupid video game or not. And this is something that companies do, is they advertise their game and they show us things that can't possibly be in the game, and they know it's not, and they do it anyway. You know, there was a very serious situation that came up where Codemasters, who makes a game that I play called Formula 1, I love the Formula 1 games, you can ask my girlfriend and anybody that's known me, but they were responsible for the Colin McRae Rally games. And they advertised that this was the new Colin McRae. We hadn't had a Colin McRae in a while. Rally sport is just not as mainstream as racing as NASCAR, or even the Need for Speed games, the Vin Diesel, Paul Walker style street races. So they had said, oh, we're coming out with this new Colin McRae game. It's going to be amazing. Everybody can't wait to get your hands on it, I bet. And they put this game out. It was like Colin McRae Rally 3. And brace yourselves, this is literally what it was. It was the mobile game. You heard that right. They took the game that people bought off of their cell phones and they ported it to the PC. And are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? These sons of bitches had the balls to pay $40 for this game. It had 5 tracks. It had 3 different cars. It was total garbage. $40. It was so bad. The fallout from it was so bad that Steam, the company on PC, actually started giving refunds. Full refunds. Well, with No Man's Sky, that is something that both Steam, PC, Steam, Origin, goodoldgames.com, Amazon, PlayStation Network, Microsoft for the Xbox Live, they've started giving refunds. Now, Steam's refund policy is actually pretty stringent, believe it or not. I've never refunded anything on my PlayStation. I've refunded a couple of games off Steam that I picked up, and they just... but it's actually, you can the game has to have been played for no less than 2 hours. And it has to be less than 2 weeks old. The purchase has to be less than 2 weeks old. There are people that are reporting refunds from Steam in excess of up to 80 to 90 hours played. So this game is such a massive train wreck that they don't care. Amazon, if you buy the game off PlayStation, excuse me, not Amazon. Sorry about that, Amazon. Don't sue me. The PlayStation refund policy is that the game has to have never been downloaded onto your console. So you go into a PlayStation store, you buy a game, and the game goes into your game library, your digital locker, if you will, your digital online game library, and you can never have downloaded it. PlayStation has completely wiped that policy clean. They are giving full refunds on No Man's Sky. So, you know, there's bandwagoners out there that are like, oh, it's a young game, you have to give it a chance. You know, you're not giving it an opportunity to do what it's supposed to do. Well, I don't care about what the game is going to be, because they didn't tout the game as what it's going to be. They touted the game as to what it is, that upon launch, this is what you're going to get. Now, this brings us back to broken games. Broken games like Assassin's Creed Unity and Master Chief Collection a couple of years ago, as well as games going even farther back, games like SimCity. SimCity was the nail in the coffin for Maxis. When they released Sims 4, it just didn't do well, and the studio was forced to close its doors. Oh, we gotta find someplace to sleep here. And the reason for that is they did this online-only bullcrap, where you have to be online to play the game. Well, as soon as we bought, and I bought SimCity day one and installed it on my computer. I had it pre-ordered because I'm a huge SimCity fan. I've loved SimCity for, God, I owned it. My sister got it for me one year for Christmas. Christmas or my birthday on our Apple II. No, I think it was one of those. It was like our Apple II. My sister got that for me. And I loved it from day one. So I'm a huge SimCity fan. So when they announced this new awesome SimCity, I ran right out and bought it. Because SimCity, right? And the servers didn't work. They were constantly crashing. You couldn't save your data. I mean, the whole thing was an absolute nightmare. To the point where EA had to take the servers down to repair them for like a week. Right? And they did this for over a week. And for those of us that bought the game and stuck with it, they rewarded us with some free content that was supposed to be, you were supposed to pay for it. We got a bunch of free stuff. So that was kind of cool, but that still doesn't mean all is forgiven. You know, Assassin's Creed Unity, when Assassin's Creed Unity came out, it was one of the most disappointing games ever. It was buggy and broken and glitchy, and they had this huge, oh, you know, you're going to have this multiplayer where you can go in and you can, you know, take your friends into your Assassin's Creed universe and share your story, and it didn't work. It was just busted and broken, and they ended up having to recode almost the entire game and re-release that as a patch. So if you had Assassin's Creed Unity downloaded on your console or your computer digitally, you basically had to re-download the game again. Now, could that be a form of false advertising? Yes. Because at no point did Ubisoft come to us and say, hey guys, go out and buy the new Assassin's Creed game. But it's going to be broken when you buy it. It's so broken, you won't even be able to play it for a month. But please, give us $60 for this game and $104 for the collector's edition. But that kind of goes into a different mentality that some of these game companies have, and that is because of ease of access to the internet. Well, we can just release this game that's all busted and broken, and then we'll just patch it later. It's almost like that is a logic that they legitimately look forward to. They knew that Assassin's Creed Unity wasn't ready. They knew it was broken, and they knew it didn't work, and they released it anyway. Talk about the biggest slap in the face. They knew it. They knew it was broken up. They knew that it didn't work, and they released it anyway. You know, I think they would have gotten more respect, you know, if they had said, hey guys, this game isn't ready. We're very, very sorry. You know what? If you've pre-ordered the game, here's a free Seasons Pass. Or here's some free downloadable content for you. Thank you for your support of our game. But they didn't. They released the damn thing anyway. Well, then the next year, Assassin's Creed, last November, Assassin's Creed Syndicate came out. And it was a great game. It was absolutely amazing. They focused on a single-player story, but nobody cared. Nobody cared because they had been so burned by Assassin's Creed Unity. Well, that's something that's happened with No Man's Sky, is people have been so burned by No Man's Sky that it doesn't matter what it's going to be in 2 years when they patch the tar out of it and turn it into a halfway playable game. What matters is what you gave us now. And this is becoming a current trend. There have been game developers left and right that falsely advertise their games. They legitimately do. They come out and tell us that we're going to get this great and amazing game and it's going to be one thing, and we get our hands on it. It's total, you know, for better or worse, it's something completely different than what we bought. And so that's kind of my little rant for today. We filled up this time nicely. I think that we kind of have a little bit of time left on the drive here. But I just think that there needs to be consequences. There really does. There needs to be consequences for these game companies that come out and falsely advertise these games. Because you know what? Once the game is sold, the game company doesn't lose money on it. The game company made their millions. They don't care. Who takes the hit? Well, GameStop certainly doesn't go after home games. Target and Walmart certainly don't go after home games. Hey man, you know, we had so many refunds on this game, you owe us blah 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 X amount of money. Nope. The game developer Home Games right now is just laughing all the way to the bank. They've made millions of dollars, they released total crap, and they don't care. Because what's the loss for them? They made this game out to be some epic thing, and it wasn't. They lied to us. But they still get to keep all their money. Isn't that just amazing? You know, yay, capitalism. But that's something that I think that we need to look into, because honestly, as a gamer, as somebody who gets excited for, because there's anticipation to getting a new game. There's anticipation to, you know, plugging it into your PlayStation or your Xbox, you know, for the first time. And playing that game, you know, and to have that stolen from you, and not to mention, you know, you're robbed of your money. You are legitimately robbed of your money. You really are, because you were promised a product and they failed to deliver. So that's my little rant on that. Now, I'm a little bit more of a serious topic than we're used to on Truckin' with Tuffy, but you know, this is just something that I feel that game companies need to be held accountable for. Because you don't get to do that. That's just morally and ethically wrong. So go ahead and leave a comment. Weigh in. Tell me what you think about these companies that false advertise. Should they face consequences? Should they not face consequences? Did you like No Man's Sky? Do you feel that you got your $60 worth? Go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you thought. You know, but please, I will ask this, keep the comments clean. Any racial or bullying comments will be deleted, and I will make sure that you're blocked from the channel. So yeah, if you could please do that, just let me know when. Let's get a panel discussion going here. Let's get something happening, and just let me know what you think, because I'm interested in other people's opinions. I really am. That was just mine. I feel that gaming companies should be held accountable when they lie to us like that, and they're not. And so realistically, there's no reason for them to stop doing it. So again, weigh in, leave a comment, and let's get this going. So finally, after my long rant, speeding offense, naturally, I have pulled into Yuma, Oh, we got a turn here, but because it leaves the... You got a speeding ticket up for so long. I'm half in the lane, half out of the lane. Alright. So here we are at the... Whoa, FedEx guy. You calm down there. Here we are at the Tesla dealership. This looks like... I don't know if that's a dealership or a factory or what is that? Alright. Go ahead and turn this way. Well, it looks like we're taking them not to the dealership. Looks like we're taking them to the rail yard. Huh. Alright. Got the old telepass happening over there. Alright, car, get out of the way. We got places to go, man. Oh, look, it's a Tesla Magnum. According to the car trailer there. In reality, the dealership, because Tesla is an actual real car dealership, the dealerships weren't called Tesla. Oh, I can't remember. It's been so long, I can't remember what they're called. They were called something completely different. They weren't called Teslas. I added a mod that changed the car company to Tesla. So until somebody creates another mod that puts like legitimate Tesla cars into the game, it's always going to do that. But I just like giving it crap. Alright. So that is that. Let's go ahead and get uncoupled and unhooked here. So cars delivered from San Francisco to Yuma. We did a pretty good job there. I'm pretty happy with that. So that is it for this episode of Truckin' with Tuffy. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and give the channel a subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let's get a panel discussion going on false advertising within video games. If you liked the paint job, go into the Steam Workshop, find that paint job, give it a subscribe, give that modder, give the modder a reason to keep making beautiful paint jobs like this for us. So, as always, folks, I'll talk to you later.